So, welcome back to chapter 4. So, now that we have successfully completed the low poly of barrel creation process, let's look into how we can create UVs. Okay, so basically, UVs means you can imagine you have a flat cutout of a t-shirt. Okay, so I'll show you. So, this is how a flat cutout looks like, right? Of a t-shirt. Okay, so there are two pieces like this, and there are sleeves. Totally four flat cutout sleeves. This will stitch with this will stitch with this with this with this will stitch with this, and this will stitch with this. So basically you will have a t-shirt like this, okay, which looks like this. So imagine this as a 3D model, okay, and this is the UVs. 3D model cut into multiple pieces and laid out on flat surfaces, basically UVs. This will help us paint textures very easily. So you want to add design or pattern to it. To do that, you need to first draw the outline of the t-shirt on the paper and then cut it out along the edges, right? Now you have a 2D shape that represents the t-shirt. This is 2D shape of the t-shirt. UV's 3D graphics are like the flattened 2D representation of the surface of a 3D object. Just like the cutout of the t-shirt, instead of fabric, a 3D model in a computer game or animation is made up of polygons like tiny triangles or squares. They are stitched together like this. UVs are like maps that tell the computer how to paint textures or images onto those polygons, just as you would paint or place a design on the cutout of the t-shirt. By mapping the 3D surface onto a 2D plane, the computer knows where to apply the specific colors, patterns, or textures on the object's surface. In simple terms, UVs are like the flattened skin of a 3D object, allowing artists and designers to add details and make it look realistic or visually appealing in a game or animation. Now, if you print something like this, so if you print an apple over here, okay, the apple, once you stitch it together, the apple will be visible here. You cannot directly print on a what you say ready t-shirt or when the t-shirt is worn. So that is why you print everything on the t-shirt before it is stitched. Here in 3D's case, it is vice versa. You make the model first, you cut it out and lay it on flat surface to do the texture painting. Okay, so hope I was clear. And let's collapse this outliner, and let's see if we have any additional groups created in the process. No. So let's collapse this, and let's go to UV workspace. So just go to workspace and click on UV editing. Okay, now here is the 3D view of the model, and here is the 2D view of the model. We are going to cut the model into 2D pieces so we can easily do texture painting. Okay, let's open all these rolling menus. So see, this is the 2D representation of the model. So this is the 2D representation of the model. So what we are going to do to convert this 3D model into optimized 2D version of this 3D model to lay it on a flat surface. So it is easy for us to do the texture painting. What we are going to do is first click on whole model, and under create menu we are going to click on automatic. Now this barrel is laid out in 2D format by automatic method. Now we'll have to stitch it together, so it is easy for us to identify what object is created in 2D format and do texture painting on a required part of the 3D model. Okay, so let's go to object mode. So before doing anything, let's go under modify and let's freeze the transformations. Freezing transformations means when you select an object, you have some values over here. So if you freeze the transformation, all the values go back to 0. I'll show you. Keep an eye over here. So when I freeze transformation, everything goes 0. Okay, now you can delete the history again. Close this and let's select this, and let's see what is the best way. So we'll cut this part over here. So to cut it, what you have to do is select an edge, and here you can cut. So why bright white line means the UVs have been cut or the edge has been cut. So let's see. Let's go under UVs and UV shell. UV shell means one UV shell which has been cut. So let's go to this UV shell and let's move it out over here. Let's press Alt B. Okay, let's move it out over here, and okay, let's select everything and we can click on Sieve. So we are going to do the cutting manually. So let's cut this. So there is one shortcut over here. When you are in edge selection mode, select an edge and you can come on to the UV editor window, hold shift and right mouse button, and you can simply hover over this cut button and let it go. The UVs have been cut. Now you can go under UV, you can bring it out here. So we will have to make one cut before. So let's isolate this. Let's cut it from here till here and so on. So let's cut. So if you want to enter X-ray mode and look through the model, all you have to do is press 4. Everything will, the shading will go and wireframe will appear. To enter this, you'll have to press 4. Okay, to toggle back to shaded mode, press 5. Let me enable this. Okay, so press 4 for wireframe mode, press 5 for shaded mode, and wireframe on shaded is this. Okay, so let's turn it off again. So let's see, we already made a cut. So let's unfold this. Unfold is basically here. You can find the unfold button over here. Before doing the unfold, what you'll have to do is hold shift right click and go on unfold, and there is one option box here. Just do a reset over here and apply and close. Okay, so this is bent now. We'll straighten it, but for now let's let it be like this. We are going to set the texture density to 1024 and let's click on layout. Over here, layout, it will come under the UV1 tile, 0 to 1 tile. So let's do the same over here for this. Let's cut it. Let's cut it. So we have this separate. Okay, so let's cut this over here. Make sure the edge is sloping all the way, and cut. So let's go on UV shell, select this and bring it out and unfold it. Okay, let's place this over here and let's cut this. So basically make a cut where there is 90-degree angle. Okay, so let's cut this, and that's it. So let's cut the entire barrel from here. Okay, make sure you don't cut where the dents you have created. Okay, so let's cut it here. So let's select this. We'll have to stitch it from here. Let's move and stitch. Let's select this U3 UV shells and let's click on unfold. So this has come very clean. So let's set the pivot point to world orientation, and to straighten it, if you see the UV is coming out like this, all you have to do is orient and select one UV which you want to rotate. Just select the UV, hold shift, right mouse button, hover over, rotate and rotate clockwise. Okay, you can do this. Now what we can do here, okay, this is cut into multiple pieces, right? So we can stitch this, unfold it once, and I think we'll have to cut this into multiple pieces to keep this straight, this barrel straight. Okay, so let's cut it from here. Let's cut on every third edge. I'll show you why I'm doing this. Let's cut this and let's stitch this, and let's start cutting it here again on the third edge. Let's stitch this. Let's cut it now. Let's unfold these all, and let's orient this. Okay, I want all the UVs in this orientation. So let's click on this and rotate shells, and we'll rotate it clockwise. Okay. So what we are going to do is click on UVs, and we are going to click on straighten UVs. Okay, we can do this. Press G, it will straighten. G, like I told you, is to straighten. Okay, all of them are straight now. You can stitch them now. If I didn't cut them into multiple pieces, and I'll show you what would have happened if I didn't cut them into multiple pieces, and if I try to straighten them, this for some reason has come straight. Let's see. Okay, sometimes these don't come straight. Okay, maybe for more complex models these don't come straight. You can click on the UVs, straighten. So Control Shift S. Let's save this. Let's go under Asset, LP. Let's name this file LP02, or else you can barrel LP underscore UV underscore 01, and let's see, and okay, now I can show you what I meant, why I cut this into multiple pieces. So if I select the UVs over here and try to straighten it, this kind of problems arise. Okay, this is anyway not that bad, but in some scenarios it is very worse. Okay, so you can start stitching these. You can just select this, okay, like this, and press G, press G again to repeat command, which is stitch. Let's see, let's unfold. Okay, let it be the way it is. And I think we'll have to cut this in between, and let's orient this, and let's straighten it. So let's orient these two and let's straighten. Okay, so let's rotate it clockwise. So I think we'll have to stitch this over here. We can stitch it. So half of our barrel is done. So let's select everything and let's click on. Okay, I think I'll need to reset my layout. So let's go under UVs. Let's go under layout option box and let's reset this layout UVs. Okay, so this laying out the UVs for the barrel is done. Let's lay out the UVs for, okay, we forgot to cut, like I told you, cut wherever the 90-degree angles are. So we'll have to cut here also for to avoid normal baking issues. So let's move this out and let's move these out, and let's make one cut over here, and let's unfold this. Let's do the same thing over here. Let's cut it and unfold. Okay, I think we'll have to make a cut here also. Cut, unfold. So this is the best unfold we can do for this. We'll have to straighten it this also. So first let's we'll have to cut this into multiple pieces, and there's one more but very confusing method I'll show you, or else you can follow my previous method. So you can select this entire UV shell, hold shift, right click, and you can unitize it. So what unitize basically does is breaks each and cuts on each and every edge and makes it into a perfect square. So now what we can do is, now this being a perfect square, but this, if you see, look at the UV, it should be a rectangle. So what we are going to do is unfold it again. Now you can see it is resembling this shape. You can orient this, okay, and rotate all, and you can simply lay out all the UVs. Now all the UVs have been laid out, so you can start stitching them one by one. Okay, like this. We'll have to straighten this, straighten it, and straighten each, and let's go to UVs. Let's hit save once and straighten all of these UVs. Okay, now let's start stitching. Select an edge and press G to repeat command. So UVs will start stitching themselves to the respective edge. Like this. Done. So you can rescale this, bring it close to the UV tile 0 to 1 space so you don't miss out. So let's do the same for this too. Let's unitize this. Once we have unitized this, we can unfold, we can orient, rotate them clockwise. Let's rotate, let's shrink them in size. Select all of them, shrink them in size, and let's go to UV selection mode and let's straighten it. Hit Control S. Keep hitting Control S because it's a good habit. You don't if you don't want to lose a lot of your progress, just keep hitting Control S. Now just select this and you can lay it out. Lay them out and start stitching the edges one by one. Okay, so UV selection mode, shrink this in size. Let's rotate it clockwise. So the challenge now is place all the UVs on 0 to 1 space only. Okay, so before that there's one more UV left too. So you can just click on unfold once. This is good enough, so we don't have to do anything over here. We'll be doing more complex UVs, so this is working out pretty well for us, so we don't have to do anything here also. So let's select the entire barrel, and here let's select the whole UVs and let's Control S to save and lay it out. So now for the production of games, you shouldn't leave a lot of space like this. So we'll have to plan accordingly so we don't leave huge spaces in between. You have to utilize each and every space as possible. Okay, let's before moving on, there's one thing. So let's just go to Google Images and type in UV checker maps. Okay, I usually use this UV checker map. You can go to ArtStation over here and you can download the UV checker map from here. This one. Okay, just click on it and save it as save it on desktop. Okay, now let's copy this and place it under your textures folder. Okay, so here is the oil barrel. Let's open this. Let's open the texture folder. Now you can find the UV checker map over here. Okay, so it is good to be organized since the beginning only. So let's open up Maya again. Let's create a new material. Lambert, delete history, click on Lambert 2 and change the Lambert name to UV checker map. Okay, under color, click on this checker button over here. Once you click on this checker button, create render node option box appears. Click on file. Okay, again here this file one appears. Okay, you can click on the image name and you can navigate to wherever you saved your checker map. Now once you press 6, you see the map here. Now the numbers are inverted. We don't want that happening. Okay, so before moving any further, we can click here and go on hypershade. Click on this button over here. This is called hypershade. Click on UV checker map. Okay, click on UV checker map and click on this button. Okay, input and output connections. Click on it. Once you click on it, you can middle mouse button to pan and scroll the mouse wheel to zoom. Okay, you see here this place 2D file texture 1. Select this node and here in repeat UV just input 5 plus 5. Okay, what it does is shrinks the map. Let's hit enter. Previously the squares were big, now they are small. That is what we did. We tiled the texture 5 times vertically and 5 times horizontally. Okay, so there's one more thing you can do. You can click over here and here color space you can give. Well, ignore it. Select the entire map over here and we want numbers coming up like this instead of this. So let's go under UV selection mode. So we know that this is inverted. We have to rotate it clockwise. Same thing over here. Okay, same thing over, because if we are planning to put any kind of texture which has text, so I'll have to create that text inverted in the Photoshop. Okay, so it appears on the right way here. So instead of creating inverted textures on Photoshop, what we can do is flip the UVs, so you can create the textures which has texts the way they are. Let's also, you don't have to correct the orientation of these over here because they most possibly won't have any text here. So we can place it here and we can increase the size of the texture and place it right in between like this. Place it in a way that it don't touch any edges of the UV tile 0 to 1 space. Make sure there is a little space over here, and we didn't straighten this UV, so let's do that. Let's straighten the UVs. G. See if there is any stretching. Let's see if there is any stretching. No. Let's see if we once straighten, if there is any stretching over here. Which UV tile is this? Okay, there is some stretching. So let's unfold this. Okay, so let's go here and click on orient. What we can do is you can select the top edges and scale them to be straight. You can do the same thing here. This kind of minute changes don't harm you, but don't drastically change anything once you have unfolded the UVs. Let's do the same here. To utilize the UV space as much as possible, it is very important for us to keep our UVs as straight as possible, not like LGBTQ. So let's place this. Let's click on orient. Let's place this here. Let's place it chronologically. This is in between. This is on bottom. This is on top. So it is easy for us to identify which UV is where. So let's do the same here. Let's click on this and get what the textile density is. So it says 5.591. So we can give the same textile density to these two and these also. Where is the cap UV? So let's place this here. Let's place this over here. Let's center it, and this is going out a little bit. We'll take care of that in a minute. Let's deselect this and bring this down. Let's bring this down. So no matter what you do, you cannot utilize the 0 to 1 UV type space, because there are very few UV shells over here. Or else if you want to utilize it, you can break the UV shells into half to utilize as much as possible. So we don't have to do that right now. Now that you are on practice phase, so let's bring this in, and let's increase this size. And let's click on orient. Let's orient this too, and looks like we'll have to cut this UV tile into two. So let's do that. Let's cut it. Let's move this down. Let's keep this here like this. It's going out. So this is not going out. Let's and let's place these UV shells over here. These are most possibly bottom UV shells. Yes. Okay. Let's increase the spacing. Let's align this to the bottom. Let's align this to the center. So let's hit Ctrl S and the UV part is done over here. So the main reason for applying, let's apply the UV checker material to the whole low poly of the barrel, and make sure this UVs are not exceeding this. UVs are going into -1 space or +1 space. They should be exactly in the 0 to 1. 0 to 1 space, 0 to 1 space. Okay. So let's see if any numbers are being stretched. And let's click on this and let's click on. Too much saturated. Yeah, this looks good. So no stretching. So one final thing what we are going to do is select the entire model, and we are going to modify freeze transformation, and we are going to convert this into one single object. To do that, we again select entire model, shift right mouse button and click on combine. Okay, so this is going to be one unified object. And now what we are going to do is modify reset transformation. So this pivot point is placed on bottom center of the barrel, so it is easy to place on grounds. Okay, now that we are done with UVs, let's see how we can prepare it to import this into our texturing software, which is called Adobe 3D Substance Painter. Okay, so to export it, once you have done the UVs and done the freeze transformation and reset transformation on the model, you can go into standard. It's not, you have to delete history, Control S, and all you have to do is select the entire model, go to file, export selection, option box, you can reset settings here. Okay, and save and close. Now again you can go into export selection, you can export your 3D model. Let's check what we have to check and what we have to uncheck here. General options, default extensions, clicked, preserve references, yes, and include these inputs, history, channels, expressions, constraints, include texture info. If this is ticked, then the model will be exported with the textures applied, so we don't have to bother. We are anyway going to texture it. So use full names for attributes on nodes. Now what we have to do is go under assets folder, and we will name this as oil underscore barrel underscore UV, and the file extension will be FBX. Let's export this as FBX. Don't do any changes. Export selection. Now if you go into your folder, well, let's see, oil barrel and assets, and you open this in your 3D Windows 3D viewer, it has been exported with the textures. Okay, so let's minimize this, and if you want to see the texture without the, if you want to see the model without the textures applied, all you have to do is press 5 and the textures will disappear. To enter the texture mode, all you have to do is press 6 and you will be able to see the texture again. Okay, so let's end this chapter over here, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Before we start the next chapter, make sure you have Adobe Substance 3D Painter installed. Okay, to install it, yeah, all you have to do is, you can get a 30-day trial version. So just type in Adobe 3D Painter. I think there is a student version also. You can download that. Yeah, there is one free trial. Okay, you can click on free trial and download it. Okay, so we are done here now. I'll see you in the next chapter.